There are people who are born with such out-of-the-ordinary traits that it's impossible not to draw attention. But how do they deal with that in everyday life? Do they see it as a good thing, or do they face difficulties? Some of these stories are incredible, others are pretty complicated, and what happens to them might surprise you. So go ahead and leave your like, click the button below to subscribe, and let's go. Michal Ruffinelli draws attention wherever she goes. With her impressive 2 meters and 5 centimeters of hips, she holds the world record and has become quite a well-known figure. But this story didn't start out this way. When she was young, Michal had what was considered a normal body. It was after her first pregnancy that everything began to change. With each child, her hips got even bigger. And now, a mother of 4, she has learned to live with the difficulties and curious looks wherever she goes. Her daily tasks aren't so simple. Fitting through doors takes some effort. Finding clothes in the right size is a challenge, and even taking a bath requires a special routine. Besides that, going out to public places means dealing with all kinds of reactions. Some people take pictures in secret, others make comments, and there are even those who ask if it's all real. Michal, however, doesn't let any of that get to her. She says she loves her body and doesn't see a reason to try to change it. Even with such an unusual size, she stays active. She exercises, dances with her children, and follows a balanced routine. Her husband, Reggie, is a big supporter and is always by her side, reinforcing that each person has their own beauty. Still, not everyone sees it that way. Some people think it's over the top, others suggest she seek treatment to reduce her hips. But Michal says she would rather be happy the way she is than try to fit into a standard that makes no sense to her. In the end, her story sparks a larger debate about acceptance and self-love, showing that each body has its own story to tell. Nick Stoberl became famous for a very unusual detail, his gigantic tongue. Measuring an impressive 10.1 centimeters, he secured his spot in the Guinness Book as the person with the longest tongue in the world. The American, who lives in California, takes advantage of this unique trait in unexpected ways, and wherever he goes, he sparks curiosity and funny reactions. Nick always knew his tongue was different. Since he was little, he would play with his brother to see who could stretch theirs the most, and that's when he noticed his was out of the ordinary. Over time, the idea of getting into the record book came up, and he decided to make it official. After that, his life changed. Nowadays, whenever someone introduces him, they warn people right away that he has the longest tongue in the world, and people always react the same way. They ask to see it. He doesn't mind the attention. On the contrary, he takes it all in stride and has even found creative ways to use this characteristic. Nick says he hardly needs a napkin because he can clean his mouth with his own tongue. And he also decided to try the art world. He uses his tongue to paint with acrylic paints, creating canvases in a completely different way. Despite the fame, he lives a normal life and has fun with the unusual situations that come up every day. For him, his giant tongue isn't a problem, but rather a trait that makes him unique. And in the end, if you have something that draws attention, why not use it to your advantage? Rumisa Gelgi, from Turkey, entered the Guinness Book because of the abnormally large size of her hands and fingers. Her biggest finger reaches 11.2 centimeters, a measure that far exceeds most people's. Beyond that, her right hand is 24.9 centimeters, while her left is 24.3 centimeters, which also earned her the title of the largest hands among living women. This condition stems from a rare syndrome that causes excessive growth in different parts of the body. Since she was little, Rumisa has faced challenges for being different, but she never let that stop her from moving forward. On the contrary, she decided to use her visibility to raise awareness about rare medical conditions and encourage those who feel outside the norm to accept themselves as they are. Despite the difficulties she faces daily, Rumisa sees her records as a symbol of resilience and pride. She believes her unique traits are not an obstacle, but something to be celebrated. Her story shows that differences can be turned into strengths and that nobody needs to fit into certain standards to be accepted. Some people are born with features that make them real-life legends. That's the case for Jeff Dave, an American from the state of Minnesota, who impresses everyone with the extraordinary size of his arms and hands. His forearms measure about 50 centimeters, a measurement that goes beyond any common standard. What's most intriguing is that, despite the gigantic proportions, Jeff has no medical condition that explains this growth. Ever since he was a child, he used his natural strength to help on his family's farm and, over time, realized he could go further. That's how he began his journey in arm wrestling. While still young, young, he stood out in local tournaments and quickly earned the nickname Popeye thanks to his enormous forearms. His talent was undeniable, and for years he dominated the arm wrestling scene. But in 1996, a serious injury to his right elbow forced him to step away from competitions. His return came years later, at 48 years old, when he decided to take part in a tournament just for fun. What was supposed to be a casual event ended up reigniting his passion for the sport. He began competing with his left arm and soon started winning titles again. In 2021, he became a world champion in the International Arm Wrestling Federation, firmly securing his name in the sport. Outside of competitions, Jeff has become a social media success. He enjoys showing off the size of his hands compared to everyday objects like soda cans, bowling balls, and paper money. Today, his story proves that some people are simply born with natural talents. In his case, a talent that fits in the palm of his hand. Not everyone feels comfortable with what makes them unique. For some people, being different can be a source of pride, but for others, it can be a challenge. In the case of Masi Curran, height was always a focal point. Owner of the world's longest legs, she made it into the Guinness Book with an impressive 1 meter and 35 of leg length, which brings her total height to 2 meters and 8. Since she was a child, Masi was always taller than everyone else her age. While other kids grew a few centimeters a year, she gained from 10 to 12 centimeters annually, which set her even further apart from the average. In the beginning, that caused insecurity. Many people teased her, and she ended up feeling ashamed of her own body. Now, she tries to deal with it in the best way possible, but she admits it's not always easy. Her unusual leg length poses everyday difficulties. She needs custom-made clothes since finding pants that fit is almost impossible. On top of that, simple tasks like getting into a car or walking through doors can be complicated. She has bumped her head countless times and needs to stay alert so she doesn't get hurt. Masi also feels the impact of this difference in her personal life. Finding a partner isn't easy, because many men don't feel comfortable next to such a tall woman. She has gone through situations where her own boyfriends felt embarrassed to be seen with her in public. Even so, Maki tries to turn her height into something positive. She uses social media to inspire other tall women to embrace their differences and feel confident. But as she herself says, it's not always as simple as it seems. Some rare illnesses can drastically change a person's life. That's exactly what happened to Wesley Warren Jr., a man from Las Vegas who became known worldwide because of an extremely rare condition. His testicles grew out of control, reaching a shocking weight of 45 kilograms. The issue began years before, but it got worse to the point where Wesley could no longer lead a normal life. Simple everyday tasks became a challenge. Walking, sitting, and even sleeping demanded a huge effort. With few treatment options available, he decided to seek public help and started a campaign to raise money for the surgery that could change his life. Hoping for support, Wesley appeared on a famous radio show in the United States and explained that he needed $1 million to cover the procedure. He admitted he didn't like being in the spotlight and hated being treated like a phenomenon, but he knew it was his only chance to get assistance. After much attention, Wesley managed to have the surgery. The procedure was successful in correcting the condition, but his health problems didn't end there. He continued facing complications related to obesity and diabetes. According to people close to him, Wesley was depressed because he couldn't fully restore his health. Unfortunately, after suffering 2 heart attacks, his battle came to an end. His story sparked discussions about the challenges in accessing medical care and showed how rare diseases can deeply affect a person's life. Some illnesses are so rare that even experienced doctors are left speechless. That's what happened to Runa Begum, a girl from India who was born with a serious brain problem. Due to a condition called hydrocephalus, her head grew far beyond normal. The fluid that should circulate through the brain got trapped, causing the head to swell uncontrollably. Runa's family lives in Tripura, a poor region of India. Her father, Abdul Rahman, works at a brick factory and earns very little. The money barely covers the household's needs, so paying for proper treatment for his daughter has always been a struggle. Her mother, Fatima, does her best to care for the girl at home, but the situation got more and more difficult. Doctors examined the case and said it might be possible to drain the trapped fluid in her brain, but nobody knew if that would solve the problem. A specialist from the United States was stunned by how severe the case was and said he had never seen anything like it. Runa's story moved many people. Her images went around the world and sparked an important discussion about access to treatments for rare diseases. While in some countries the issue can be tackled early on, in others, like India, many families can do little more than watch their children suffer, unable to help. For many people, growing a mustache might be a small detail, but for Ram Singh Chauhan, it became a true symbol. The 62-year-old Indian man holds the record for the world's longest mustache, which has already reached an impressive 5.4 meters in length. This journey began when he was 17. From then on, he never touched a pair of scissors to trim the hair. With dedication and patience, he turned his mustache into a real treasure, attracting attention wherever he goes. The recognition came in 2010 when he earned a place in the Guinness Book and secured his spot among the world record holders. But maintaining a mustache of that length isn't easy. Every day he devotes at least 2 hours to washing, combing, and applying special oils. The care is essential to keep the hairs from tangling or breaking. Plus, he needs to be very careful when eating or even walking around, since the extreme length can cause practical issues in his daily life. His decision to grow this mustache was motivated by a promise he made after getting married. His wife has always supported the idea, and he believes that behind every successful man, there is a woman cheering him on. Today, he proudly displays his mustache at ceremonies and events in India. To many, it may seem like just a curious detail, but for Chauhan, it is a symbol of tradition, patience, and dedication. Keeping a different style takes time and dedication, and few people have taken that more seriously than Lee Redmond. For 30 years, she decided not to cut her nails, earning her a place in the Guinness Book as the woman with the longest nails in the world. At the peak of her record, they reached an astonishing total of 8.65 meters in length. She started this on a personal challenge back in 1979. Lee wanted to see how long she could keep her nails before they became a nuisance. Unlike other record holders who struggle with nails that curve and lose shape, hers grew into long, well-defined arcs, the result of a daily care routine. To keep them strong, she followed a strict regimen, soaking her nails in warm olive oil and applying hardening products regularly. The process took hours, but she got used to living with such huge nails. Despite their extreme length, she managed to do everyday tasks like washing dishes, cutting her children's hair, and even driving. Unfortunately, in the 2009, Lee was in a car accident and lost her nails in a matter of seconds. It was a huge shock, as they had been part of her identity for 3 decades. Despite her sadness, she responded with positivity and decided not to try to break her own record again. Today, at 76 years old, she lives a simpler life, spending time with her family. Even so, her name remains in history as one of the Guinness Book's most iconic records. The search for beauty can lead some people to extreme changes, and no one represents that better than Anastasia Pokryschuk. The Ukrainian influencer became known worldwide for completely transforming her face through numerous cosmetic procedures, earning the title of the woman with the biggest cheeks in the world. Before the surgeries, Anastasia had what many would call a normal look, with long hair and a discreet style. But over the years, she underwent various procedures to enlarge her cheeks, lips, and jaw. Her radical transformation attracted attention and generated both praise and criticism. Many people love her bold and different style, while others find her changes disturbing. This time, Anastasia decided to go further and showed off her newest aesthetic alteration. Besides her completely modified face, now her nails have also gotten an eccentric makeover. Long and sharp as claws, they caused quite a stir on social media. Some followers applauded her daring look, but others were frightened by it. The influencer doesn't care about criticism. She has been accused of going overboard with procedures and even of digitally editing her photos to alter her appearance even more. But she remains steadfast in her choices. For her, beauty is a personal matter, and everyone should have the right to mold their own appearance however they like. With thousands of followers keeping up with each step of her transformation, Anastasia continues to spark debates about beauty standards and how far the pursuit of a perfect look can go. For some, she is an example of authenticity. For others, she is proof that the obsession with beauty can cross all limits. Having muscular arms takes training and dedication, but for Mustafa Ismail, the story went in an unexpected direction. The Egyptian bodybuilder became known as the real-life Popeye after his biceps and triceps reached an unbelievable 78.7 centimeters in circumference. The absurd size of his muscles earned him a spot in the Guinness Book, but it also raised many doubts. Since he came into the spotlight, Mustafa has been a topic among experts. Doctors and trainers analyzing his photos found the shape of his muscles suspicious. To them, it's highly unlikely for someone to achieve such exaggerated growth simply through diet and exercise. The suspicion is that he used implants or injected substances, since the shape of his arms doesn't look natural. Using steroids in bodybuilding is nothing new, but it can bring serious health problems. These substances boost muscle size, but also come with dangerous side effects. Users risk heart, liver, and kidney issues. There's also the risk of muscle infections that can even be fatal. Despite the suspicions, Mustafa maintains that his arms are the result of training and hard work. But the truth is, a lot of people still doubt it. Whether the record is legitimate or not, the fact remains that he went down in history with one of the most questioned Guinness Book titles. Not everything that seems like an advantage really is. Roberto Esquivel Cabrera, a 56-year-old Mexican man, became known for having the largest genital organ in the world, measuring an impressive 48 centimeters. Many people might think this would be a source of pride, but for him, reality is very different. From a young age, Roberto realized he was different from the other boys, but as time went on, it turned into a problem. He has never been able to have a real relationship. Some women walked away when they saw his anatomy, and he ended up going through life without ever having a partner. On top of that, he suffers pain, infections, and can't even wear normal clothes. The size of his organ is noticeable even with baggy pants, which has caused him embarrassing moments in many situations. His story went worldwide after a video went viral in 2015. After that, he received offers to join the adult film industry, but he turned them down. He said his dream was always to find a woman who would accept him as he is, but that has never happened. Aside from everyday challenges, Roberto also deals with criticism. Some people believe he forced the growth over the years, using weights to stretch the organ. He denies these accusations and says that ever since adolescence, his condition has brought him more suffering than anything else. Taking care of your hair is already a challenge for a lot of people, but imagine going decades without cutting it at all. That's the case of Xie Chuping, a Chinese woman who made history with an impressive record. She holds the title for the longest hair in the world, achieved after many years of patience and dedication. She decided to let her locks grow from an early age. While most people cut their hair regularly, Xie chose to see how long it could get. The record was made official in 2004, when her hair was measured at an astonishing 5 meters and 62 centimeters in length. To put that into perspective, that's the height of a full-grown giraffe, or the length of a double-decker bus. Maintaining hair of that length requires special care. Xie needs a lot of time to wash, dry, and comb it. The process can take hours, and the weight also brings challenges like preventing tangles or breakage. Even so, she has never thought of cutting it, because she sees her hair as a symbol of patience and discipline. Her story sparked curiosity around the world and raised questions about why she decided to keep it growing for so long. To her, it's not just about setting a record, but about something that became part of her identity. Her name went down in the Guinness Book, and her journey shows that with determination, some people achieve feats that seem unbelievable. The Turkish man Mehmet Özürek became internationally known for having the biggest nose in the world, an official Guinness Book record. His last measurement, taken in 2010, reached an impressive 8.8 centimeters in length. From a young age, Mehmet heard comments about his nose. During childhood, he was teased and made fun of, but over time, he learned to see his looks differently. He said his nose was a gift from God, and even claimed that his sense of smell was better than that of other people. Aside from its remarkable size, Mehmet liked to show off a unique talent. He could inflate a balloon using only his nose. His skill and sense of humor helped turn a physical trait once seen as odd into a positive thing, making him a well-liked figure in his hometown, Artvin, in Turkey. Over the years, his nose was measured again, disproving the myth that this body part keeps growing forever. He maintained the record for decades and became a symbol of how self-acceptance and pride in your own characteristics can change the way you see yourself and how others see you. Sadly, Mehmet Özürek passed away at 73 years old after suffering a heart attack. Even so, his story lives on, proving that with confidence and humor, even something that was once a joke can become a major source of pride. Not everyone is born to fit the mold. Matthew McGrory was one of those rare cases, a man who impressed people not only with his height, but also with his unusually large feet. He made history as the tallest actor in the world at 2 meters and 29 centimeters. But he was also known for having the largest toes ever recorded outside of medical cases. His big toe measured an astonishing 12.7 centimeters, while the smaller toes reached 3.81 centimeters. From a young age, Matthew already stood out. When he was still in kindergarten, he was already 1 meter and 50 centimeters tall, attracting attention everywhere. His extreme height and huge feet made life difficult in various ways, from finding shoes that fit to handling simple daily tasks. But instead of hiding away, he used his unique appearance to build a career in movies and on TV. Matthew gained fame by appearing on shows like Howard Stern and Oprah Winfrey, as well as in music videos for bands like Iron Maiden and Marilyn Manson. In films, he took on various giant roles, with one of the most memorable being Carl in the movie Big Fish, directed by Tim Burton. Despite the recognition, life with gigantism also brought challenges. His body needed much more effort to function, which affected his health. In 2005, at 32 years old, he died of heart failure, leaving behind an impressive legacy. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this one.